Hi everybody. I posted this photo on model railroad shelf layouts on Facebook and got over 500 likes. I was pretty amazed. As you can tell, I've added a lot more trees to the scene, and actually they're not in this picture, but I've got some cows in the pasture now too. Maybe you'll see them in another view coming up. After I finished making all the trees for the creek, I had a few left over, so I replaced the trees along here, that one in the back, and I put some on that fence. Just put a few little ones here and one over here. Just added a few. I still have a few trees left over that I'll just save for somewhere in Oak Hill. So here's the cows. You're going to think I'm making this up, but I'm not. I have noticed, and you may have too, that cows usually are all faced the same way. I don't know why. They're always usually all facing the same way when they're grazing or whatever. So I Googled it, and just to see if that was just a real thing. Well, they've done studies on it, and for some reason, cows and deer usually face magnetic north in the northern hemisphere and south in the southern hemisphere. They don't really know why. Actually, they were originally trying to find out if people did that, if people, like when they pitched tents and were camping, did this something in their bodies told them to pitch the tent a certain way, and they really had trouble with the study because most tents are pitched in wooded areas. But when they were looking for this, that's when they started noticing the cows, and they started studying cow pastures. So I'm not making this up. But there's two reasons why I faced them this way. Number one, that's magnetic north. If I say that compared to Oak Hill. Number two is in N scale, most of the time when you have figures, it's usually the faces that are the hardest to look good. And same way with the cows. So these don't really look that good in the face to me. And so I just faced them away from the camera, faced them north. So the one that's laying down probably looks the best. You can see the sort of side of his face. So anyhow, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you don't believe me, Google it. But it does seem to be true that cows usually face the same way. So here's the hill that Boomer suggested, and he gave a suggestion to take an airbrush and to sort of mist like a tan or a buff paint over the static grass to make it blend better. And I did that, and it definitely does blend a little bit better. The texture never going to match because that's a cornfield in the back. I don't know. I mean, I've got some of those Blueford Shops corn stalks. I don't know if that would look good or not, but I don't think I'm going to mess with that anyhow. It's meant to be a background scene. But it looks a lot better with the color now, and so I went ahead and completed the fence, and so I'm pretty happy with it. It turned out pretty good, so I'll leave it like that. Here are the cars I have done so far. These two I already had done. These are two I bought at the car show. I can't remember what the one on the left is now. It's like a Malibu or something. It's a Pinto beside it. So this is my 61 Ford pickup truck, a 77 Dodge truck, a 64 Oldsmobile station wagon. It's actually the Vista Cruiser that's supposed to have like the windows around the top. I've got a 49 Studebaker pickup truck like my dad owned and that I owned. This is my 48 Packard. I painted a matte black because it's going to be parked alongside the garage with some junk piled around it. Like the guy is going to restore it someday. I might even put some like sort of tall weeds around it or something. This is a Corvair 4-door, which most Corvairs apparently were 2 doors. I never realized that until I started searching for pictures of it. The Ford Bronco, and that was probably the hardest one to paint because of the two-tone. It actually has a separate spare tire, and the grill was a little bit hard to paint on it. But I think it turned out okay. And then beside it is my Willys Jeep, which is parked up at the fire tower. So I've got 3 more I'm working on. I guess I ordered 10 to begin with. I had 2 at the car show. I ordered 10, so I've got 3 more to go. And I've enjoyed it. It's been a fun project. So it gave me a little bit different cars to put on the layout than a lot of people have. So I'll buy some more when I need them. So I was looking for something else, and I stumbled upon these. They're actually from Monroe Models, and it's like junkyard stuff, like cast resin. And I'm going to need a junkyard in Oak Hill. I thought this would be a good way to start after I paint them up. I'll show you a picture of this. I'll insert it. If you remember, the junkyard in Oak Hill was built on an old side of a brickyard. And so it has a big concrete loading platform there. And from that, they had another fence that's like 2 or 3 feet tall, I guess to keep the junk in the junkyard. Again, I'll show you a picture of it. And so I guess they must have used some kind of crane to lower the scrap down into the gondolas. I don't know if they used an electromagnetic crane or just a regular crane. Not sure, but since it's the junkyard is still in business, it's still booming, but no rail service there. But I thought they're relatively cheap. I think they came in like 2. This is 2 sets. It also came with a gondola load too, which I'm going to have to. It's sort of short. It maybe fits like a 40-foot gondola, and it's a little bit wide. I'm going to file it down a little bit. So that's what I've been working on right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about my Oak Hill staging / fiddle yard here in a second, and then I'll talk a little bit about Chance before we get done. So here's a couple pictures of what the scrapyard looks like. You can clearly see the concrete loading dock, which is boxcar height, and then the wall on top of it. I decided to go ahead and update my, I keep calling them control panels, but they're not control panels because they don't control anything. They're just track diagrams. What's notable about this is I've got my abandoned track. This used to be my interchange, and notice I took the turnout out. I intend to do that. I may regret it. I don't know, but I intend to take it out. And because that's what a real railroad would do. It's on a main line. They don't leave unnecessary switches in for very long on a main line. The other thing I want to show you is I took the crossover out. And I extended this on down, so I'm going to get rid of that crossover, and I'm not going to have this stub track coming on down like I do now. Again, it's always empty. Having a longer runaround will make it much, much better for me operationally. So I'm going to move the tripod over and show you the Oak Hill control panel now. Okay, so this is, I keep saying control panel, sorry, track diagram. So, Chillicothe, here's the companies. What I want to show you is, I used to just call this a staging yard, but it's actually going to be more of a fiddle yard. So I intend to, when I come into Oak Hill from Chillicothe, of course Charrington Scrap and Cedar and Davis Fire Brick are facing point switches, so I'm not going to switch them right away. I'm going to have the train blocked to where the Cedar Heights clay is at the front of the train. And then it'll be in the middle of the train. The Charrington scrap and Davis fire brick will be toward the back, and these Knock and Sons and Ply Bricko will be at the front. So I'll drop the this and these cars off, switch Cedar Heights clay, leave the cars in Oak Hill, and then I'll go down to the fiddle yard where I will, physically pick up cars, put them in a box, and put other cars back on the track in their place that were left there earlier, and then come back and finish switching Davis fire brick, Charrington scrap, pick up the train, head back to Chillicothe. That's how I envision it operationally. But I need to get the fiddle yard in place, and so we're going to talk about that next. So if you've been a subscriber for a while, you know this is where I originally had Oak Hill. This was the north end staging, and the south end staging actually went from here, rested on a filing cabinet. Down here I had a leg. So this is the staging yard that originally was there. It could be straight. And that's how I mounted it on those two pegs. Well, obviously it won't fit there now, and I don't really want it extending out into the hall, so I'm going to have to redo this staging yard. And probably what I'll have to do is, obviously it's going to be curved, and I think I might be able to put a bracket on the edge of this bookshelf to support the end of it, possibly. I'll figure something out. But anyhow, that's going to be one of my projects coming up, to redo the south end of Oak Hill. So here's Chance. He's doing good. He wants to go back in. So I'm going to let him in the house. All right. So let me talk about him here for a second, even though you're not seeing him. There's the Garden Railroad there. So he's doing good, but he's still not supposed to be excited because he's prone to seizures. So the other day he got really excited when I was going to take him for a walk, and he had a pretty bad seizure. It's always scary when that happens, but he came out of it okay. The other thing is he's sort of slowly building trust with people, and he's happy here. He loves us, but he runs into stuff sometimes. We don't think there's anything wrong with his eyes, but sometimes it's like he's unaware of where he's at, and he'll run into something. Well, he did that today. I was going to take him for a walk, and he got kind of excited, and he turned quickly and ran into the wall. Well, because I was standing close to him, it scared him, and he thought that I had done something to him. And so now all of a sudden he's like running away from me, and he's scared of me. Didn't last very long. We had to reassure him, and gave him a treat. Everything's fine now, but evidently in his past he has been so abused by people that he just expects the worst from people. He doesn't expect kindness from people. He just expects to be hurt. So getting better. Like I said, his tail's wagging. It's great to see him get excited and be happy. I think it's the happiest he's ever been, but hopefully he'll learn eventually that we're never going to hurt him. That's not the type of people we are. We're never going to hit him or anything that way. So encouraged about it, but at the same time, it just really breaks your heart when he reacts like that. So I'm going to end this with a couple little short videos of the steam engine. If you made it that steam engine over the creek, if you made it this long, you deserve something. Okay, stay safe, everybody.